special evening, I have a guest with me here to share her knowledge. So I'm sure you have seen children's books. It's actually Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I should have started with that, right? Well, happy Mother's Day. And this is really a good start to the Mother's Day by talking about children's books that you can use to help grow your children along the way. Now, some persons may be interested in how do you go about writing a children's book, and that's what my special guest is here to talk about. So I'm just gonna add her right here. And this is my special guest, Greta Malcolm, and she's going to be here to tell us all about writing children's books. In the promo, you saw that she's a 7-time book author, and she's here to just share her knowledge with us. Now, if you have any questions while she's presenting and telling us all about her journey so far, you can put the questions in the comments area and we will answer them as we go along. So, Greta, welcome to ACE Weekly. Thank you so much for wanting to come and share this information with our audience this evening. So tell us about yourself so that we learn more about this accomplished author of children's books. All right, so remember to unmute.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Okay, grandmother, aunts, mothers to be, happy Mother's Day. I am Greta Malcolm. I'm an educator. I'm an author. I'm a mother of 5 beautiful children. And I'm also a God-fearing woman. As Ava mentioned, that I am a 7-time author. I've written 7 books. And you may be wondering how it happened. But I remember in 2018, one Friday evening in February, Saturday evening in February, as I reflected on some experiences I had, there was one particular experience that had me a little emotional. And when I think about the experience, when I thought about the things that happened, how I was rejected, how I was talked down to, how I was shunned, I gave it some good thought and I said to myself, as an adult, it had a terrible impact on me when it happened. And if when I was reflecting on it, it still impacted me that bad, negatively, so bad. Think about a child. When children are impacted negatively, sometimes as adults, what we do is respond, whether we respond verbally or physically, but we do something to, make us feel better. But for children, they don't. They internalize their feelings. Those internalized feelings lessen their self-confidence, demotivate them, let them feel less than others, feel like they don't belong to anybody, they're not a part of anything. And hence, I said to myself, I'm going to use my experience and modify them to help children to understand that there is a way to solve every problem. I want these stories, these past experiences to be stories that they can relate to. And I also find a way of providing a solution that they can use to combat these negative feelings, these feelings that make you feel so lonely and unwanted. Hence, I decided to write, and I wrote my first book then, I Am Smart After All. And that book was written in both Spanish. I am smart after all in Spanish. I'm sorry. Todos somos inteligentes. And it is in English. I am smart after all. And this book is for children ages 5 to 8. It's a story about a little boy who had challenges reading and writing. And he developed a dislike for school and his peers because they teased him. However, his mother encouraging words, keep on trying, you will do better, motivated Max. And Max tried and tried and tried until he was successful. Now, there's a powerful message behind this story. It builds self-confidence. It empowers others to keep trying, take charge of their learning, and keep on trying until they're successful. I wrote another book a few months after, maybe 3 months, 4 months after. And this book is a chapter book. Abby, Love Without a Cause. And this book is the second book that was published in 2018. It's a chapter book with 48 pages. It has a glossary at the back, and it has 11 pages of activities to build language skill, math skill, phonetic skills, spelling, and creative skills. It is for girls ages 8 to 12. And this book, Abby, Love Without a Cause, is about a village girl who was shunned and rejected. So now you know where this story is coming from. She was shunned and rejected by her peers because she didn't dress and look like them. So she's a village girl and she's going to school in the city. So just visualize. And one city girl, Abby, that's my Abby there. One city girl, Abby, showed her some love, stood up for her when she was bullied, and won her friendship. Today, Abby, Love Without a Cause is a book that teaches tolerance, friendship, self-confidence, and it helps you to stand up to bullies and also help children to deal with negativity. So, you know, if you're rejected, if you have a child who feel less than themselves, that they don't have any peers, that everybody's against them, so you can recommend Abby, Love Without a Cause. My third book is...
Wow, all these books, guys. She keeps the books coming and coming.
If
All right.
I keep trying, I know I can.
Yes.
This is my third published book, and this was published in 2020. It's a 41-page chapter book. It also has some activities at the back. It has syllabication, it has math activity, it has creative activities, it has some coloring, and it is for children ages 8 to 12. Now, this book is about a girl named Bella. Bella loved hula hooping, and she really wanted to do that. But you know what? Like some of us, we don't get it the first time. We don't get it right the second time. We don't get it right the third time. And sometimes we wonder if we'll ever get it. But Bella, persistency, and the code she saw on her wall in her classroom. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. And even when Bella teacher told her that you didn't make the team, she didn't let that stop her. What Bella did was to practice without the teacher knowing. And finally on that day, Bella was successful. She represented the school because someone who was supposed to do it took ill. So sometimes, guys, you feel like you're left out and you feel like there is no hope, and you have some kids in your class, in your community, in your home that feel like, oh, I'm just kicked out because I'm not good like my peer, my friend, my sister, my brother. If I keep trying, and I know I can, it's a good book to motivate them and help them to persevere, to be successful. I didn't stop there. I went on and I wrote my fifth book. This is the fourth book. And this is Sleepy Time, Bedtime Story, and Quick Purrs. It's a bedtime story book with 8 different stories, short stories, that teaches children good moral, good manners, how to use kind words, and to be good friends. And it also helps parents to guide their children and to teach them values and morals. This book, the bedtime story book, is also very good in helping children who are discouraged. Children, you have some little naughty children. Maybe because in their environment, we tend to feel that they're naughty on their own, but their environment is what helps them to develop socially. And whatever they learn in their environment, when they get into the school system, when you meet them on the street, when you see them in the store, that will come out. And sometimes we say, oh, they're so rude, they're so disrespectful. But quick purrs and bedtime stories are a good gift. It will help them to grasp good morals and teach them good manners. And also, there's a quick purr at the end of it. It's not a long purr. It is created for children. So it's a quick purr at the end. So you Christian parents out there, parents who want to, godparents who want to give a bedtime story gift, it's from children 3 to 9. But we know the 9-year-olds sometimes don't read bedtime story anymore. 3-year-old might not be able to read, but mommies and daddies, it's a good way, aunts and uncles, grandparents, it's a good way to bond with a child, to send them off in a quiet, peaceful rest, reading them a lovely bedtime story. My 5th book, many of us, we grew up knowing about Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. If you didn't hear of Goldilocks' story, you wasn't on planet Earth, because it was read over and over. It was told over and over. Naughty Goldilocks went into the bears' home without them knowing, ate their porridge, broke their chairs, sleep in their bed. But I did a twist to that. You know why? We have a saying when we were young to say, once a thief, always a thief. Not true. So isn't there any space for reform? Isn't there any space to redeem yourself? So it's not true. Once a thief is not always a thief. And it wasn't Goldilocks is my 5th book. It is for children ages 5 to 8 years old. As I said, it's a twist on the traditional story, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. It's about a family cat who learned that they should not, a family of cats who learned that they should not judge others. Because we know that Goldilocks ate the bear's porridge. When their dinner goes missing, they say, oh, it must be Goldilocks. But to their surprise, it wasn't Goldilocks. The moral of this book is think positively of others and don't be judgmental. Remember that you should have tangible proof before you blame someone, before you judge someone. And sometimes our children are faced with that. You know, they tell the little lies, and even when they're speaking the truth, they say, oh, you're lying. They said, I didn't take it up, but because you see them near it, you said yes. Or because I took something before. So this book is a good book. It wasn't Goldilocks. It also contains activities, mazes, puzzles, coloring at the back of it. So there you go. You need a book? There you go. My 7th book. It's not a storybook. It's an activity book. It's an integrated activity book with math, phonics, writing, comprehension, reading, language skill. And it is Let's Play with Letters and Numbers. And this is for children 4 to 9 years old. So if you have your little ones who are in preschool or about to go to preschool, and they want to count, and they want to add, and they want to do comprehension, and they want to match, and they want to do all those little pre-learning skills that they should have to enter into a preschool setting, then Let's Play with Letters and Numbers is an awesome book for them. And these are the books that I wrote. Thank you.
Wow. Guys, let us know what you think about all of those books in the comments area. Are you impressed? Or can you believe that she has done 7 books? And I have to say so far, because I'm sure that this is not it, right, Greta?
No, it's not it. I have a book at the editor presently, and I have others on my computer that I'm working on.
So she's just getting all of these books out. So let us know your thoughts about her writing all of these books in the comments. Now, while we're waiting to see your comments about what has been presented so far, remember that all these books are available on Amazon, and you can also contact Greta at authorgmalcolm@yahoo.com, or you can call the number that you're seeing scrolling on the screen. So you've shown us a variety of books, storybooks, bedtime story, as well as activity. And I don't remember the other one, but you showed us a variety. So the 7 books are
It's a Spanish
the
book as well.
They?
Spanish book as
The
well.
Spanish, yes, the Spanish version. So we've heard about the types of books that you have written, Greta, and I know a lot of persons are here to find out about the process of writing a book, a children's book. What is the exact process? Or I should say, what was your process? Because we know that all writers have a different process. First of all, are you a writer by profession? Is writing the main thing you do?
No, but I really love writing. It's not the main thing I do, but I love writing.
So I
So
just want persons to know that,
in
yes.
my spare time, or to be honest, it's my pastime work. So sometimes I'm writing on the road and I see a nice view and it gives me an idea and I start to write a story. Or I might hear someone say something, a quote, I might see a quote, I see something, and then it prompts me to write something that, is in line with that. So I'll start my little writing there. I really love to write.
Okay, so let us in on your process. So if someone was interested in writing a children's book, what kind of process could they follow to come up with even what the book will be about and how you go about the planning of the story, etc. Share that with us so that, if anybody who's interested in that, what process could they follow?
All right, guys, I know sometimes persons might want to write a book, and this was my first drawback. I am not an English teacher. And I think I have my faults when it comes to speaking and writing English. So don't look at that. Don't let that deter you. However, in writing the book, my first thought was my ideation. Where did I get my idea from? So as I mentioned before, I had a past experience and I use my past experiences and modify them so that they can help children along the way. All right. I know I could have given them as they are, like a memoir, to for adults, but I love children and I'm a preschool teacher, I'm an early years teacher. So yes, children, they are my people. So yes. And so my first thing was that I had an idea. And from that idea, I stopped to think, who am I going to write my book for? What genre is my book going to be? Is it going to be a fiction? Is it going to be a non-fiction? Is it going to be an adventure? Is it going to be a mystery book? And I think about that. And when I chose my genre, then I said to myself, who will be my target audience? Now, my target audience are going to be the persons who are going to be reading my book. My target reader, rather, are going to be the persons who are going to be reading my book. Who is my book going to be for? So I think about all this before I put pen to paper. Because, if you're writing for children in a certain years, then you have to modify, you have to write in a way that they can read and understand. So you're not going to be using all these big words based on your age group that you're writing for. I think about my age group as well. I think about my characters. And the most important thing was the message that I want to bring across. What was my message? In my message, there's going to be a problem. How is that problem going to be solved? What the solution will be? And when I think of those, I begin to think of my characters. Now, where are my characters? Who are my characters? How am I going to portray my characters? Are my characters going to be little bears? Are they going to be real children? Are they going to be animals, birds, fish? And I think all of that. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get myself aligned. All of that. Okay, so in thinking, so when you have your ideas, and your ideas can come from different places. As I said, a quote, it can come from an experience, it can come from a book that you read, it can come from some morals that you learn, it can come from a movie that you watch, it can come from just out of the blue an idea. You watch a group of children one day and you said, oh, if those children had a stick to climb that wall, they could climb the wall. And you begin to think, how could I help them to get the stick to go on the wall? So with your ideas, and don't forget, guys, major, you need a budget. If you don't budget these things, they will cost you millions of dollars. But here am I. When you're writing your book, link me up and I'll put you onto my peeps. They're quite reasonable, very good. Because you can go on Amazon and look at my books. Okay? So you can get good deals, and you can also publish, be a self-publisher like I do, which make it much, much cheaper. And there are other little things that if you link me up, I'll tell you, I can help to guide you along the path. So you need your idea, you need to know your age group, your target reader, who is your target audience. So for me, my target audience are mom, dad, uncles, aunt, grandparents, teachers, caregivers, just about anybody who'd purchase a book for a child. They are my target audience. And my target readers are the little ones, the children. Okay, and apart from that, you think about your characters and who your character is going to be. What is your message you want to pass along? And how are you going to solve the problem? So your message should have something that children can relate to in this present world, this present time, and you help them along, guide them how to solve these issues. So along the path, after you have done all that, you put pen to paper and you write your book, you write your story. Now, do not write and edit at the same time. You can do all the book in completion, and you put it aside for a few days and you visit it again and you read and you edit, and you must edit at least 2 times before you send to a professional editor. Now, I know persons might say to themselves, oh, I'm a very good English teacher, or I know English very well. But knowing English very well and writing a story differs. Okay? So you might want to pass it on to an editor, for the editor to go through and help to guide you along. And sometimes the editor brings things alive, because my editor is very good. And she will say, oh, this doesn't sound realistic. Think about this again. You might want to change this part, or you might want to look at it this way. So you need an editor to edit for you. And then after all you've done that, think of your title. I normally write my story and then I give it a good title. Before, and I have some titles, but most time the titles I have before I write the story never normally be the story. Never normally be the title for that story.
So you're basically building as you go along.
So as I go along. So for me, I set some little scenes. So I said, okay, the first scene at the market, the second scene down at school, the third scene by the river, the fourth scene in the bedroom. And then I create a story around those scenes. Use words to create a story around those scenes. And in those scenes, I think of who my characters are going to be. Are they going to be the one in the bedroom, the same at the school? Are going to be the same in the marketplace?
Based on all of what you're saying, it sounds like you definitely have to have a lot of, you be organized and plan out what you're going to do before you start all of the process. We know that some things, as you say, when you're going through like the first edit, some things may change and you revisit a particular scene, as you were calling it, but you really have to plan. Question, are you writing on pen and paper, or are you actually typing it? Because I know you said put pen to paper, so literally?
No, to be very honest, I never ever write on pen and paper. You know how I write on pen and paper? So, and it's sometimes I'm in church and the books flash across my mind that I'm writing, and a little thought came to me and I jot it on a piece of paper. Sometimes I get awake in the night and an idea come and I get up and I write it on a piece of paper quickly and stick it on the bedpost. So tomorrow morning, but that's how I write on paper. I normally write on the computer, and I normally type on the computer. And I don't know for other writers, but for me it is so different. Because if this evening, for example, now I'm talking to you, and if an idea comes to me, when I'm finished on this show, I can sit on my computer and I can write a book.
As simple
ideas will just come and I will just write.
And it's good to get it out as well, because if you sleep on it, you may find that some of the ideas may go. So sometimes, if I always tell I've been given this advice, like if you have any ideas while you're sleeping, just get up quickly and have a book or something near you, just jot it down, because when you wake up, you may not remember it as well. So yes, what do you use to start the first draft, the typing up? What program?
Word. I do it in Word, and then I normally set my page. So books carry different sizes. So you have 6x9, 5x8 by 5x 8x5. So I think this is a 6 by no, this is a 8.5 by 11. This is a 8x5, 8x5. And
What do you
so
use to
you have,
decide the measurement? What do you use to decide that measurement?
to be honest, I just look on a book and I might another book that somebody writes and I might like the size, the
Yes.
shape, and then I measured it with a ruler. And when I go into words, I just set my
Use that
page.
thing.
Yeah.
So based on what you were describing, it seems as if that this is a step-by-step process because you said that you have basically a team that helps you to put together the different parts of the book. So you write the book, you create the story, but I'm sure a lot of us have seen that children's books tend to have imagery. We have some graphics going on. So I'm assuming you have someone who does
Okay.
illustration and all these
So
things.
I outsource the illustration and I outsource the editing. So after I do my second edit, I outsource the editing and I outsource the illustration. I have illustrator as far as India.
Very good. So
So
I just want persons to know that it's not just a one man show depending on
no.
the different aspects of your children's book. So depending on the kind of book you're gonna write, you can decide what or how much you want to add to it. But as you see, you can contact Greta, as you see the email there and the phone number to ask about the books that she has, or just to get some guidance and advice for any book that you may be writing for yourself. So let us know what you have thought so far of the presentation. I think Greta has shared a lot of information so far about her process. I'm sure a lot of persons didn't even think about how in-depth writing a children's book was. I like the part about the scenes. I didn't think about having like a different scene and then the story is written about the scene. You know, sometimes we think about the book as a whole and we're not thinking about each different part. So it's good to break it down in parts so that the writing can be more organized and more easy to accomplish. So let us know if you have any questions in the comments area. Remember to put your comments, any questions for Greta that she can answer about the whole writing process. Now, she has agreed to share with us some tips for writing in general, not just for children's books, but just tips for writing that she has found beneficial for her as a writer. So she will share that with us. And as I said, you can ask any questions that you have in the comments area. So, Greta, what are some tips?
All right. My first tip, what I learned is that your main character, introduce your main character at the beginning of the story. So that's a useful tip. So your main character not coming in the middle of the story or after the first chapter. So your main character is introduced at the beginning of the story. My second tip is ensure that you have a problem and a solution. I know I've mentioned this before, but in your writing, don't just write because, yes, it might be a good story. It must have a problem and a solution. So I remember when I wrote, it wasn't, I Am Smart After All. And I sent it off to the illustrator and he read it. He said to me, boy, the story just rigid, you know? And I learned then that you have to have some humor in children's story. It doesn't take, even though it teaches, it might teach some good morals, some good values, but it must have some humor in it. Give your character, let your character be humorous, light-spirited, free, not, bound and lazy, like active, like children, good characters. So those are the tips I have for you. And the other thing is, I know I mentioned earlier on that you have to set a budget. It is vitally important that you really have a budget. Say to yourself, well, I have $500 and this is what I want to spend in publishing this book. So at the end, when the book is ready to publish, you must spend your $500. And even if you go over a little, but you have a target that you're working with. Because if you don't, you're going to end up in big, and I can't stop saying big, a lot of big trouble. So I'm going to show you this book. So when I wrote this book, if you look at the pictures, Lovely picture. Lovely pictures. Lovely pictures. But you know what? Lovely money. Very lovely money. You know why? It was my first book. I didn't understand much. I didn't set a budget. I was just working with everything that I was told. But after I wrote that book, I realized that a budget is vitally important. So remember, guys, set your budget. Okay? My next tip is that be familiar with the number of wording for young children. So when I say young children, I think about if you're writing for toddlers, if you're writing for 3-year-old, 4-year-old, as it goes up, the number of wording per book. And if you're doing chapter book, how many chapters, how many paragraphs, how many, so you can plan accordingly, you can write more effectively. If you're writing for young children, like from 0 to 6 or 7, remember that their vocabulary is limited. I maybe don't want to say limited, but their vocabulary is not as advanced as others. So you have to break the words. Don't give them too big a words and I'm not saying that you must give them cat, mat, rat. No. But don't give them too much of a challenging word. All right. If you do have a word, which is what I feel now, if you do have a word in there that you think is a little bit over and you couldn't find a more suitable synonym or antonym or whatever to put there, do a little glossary at the back. So you give them a meaning of the word and you can maybe syllabicate the word so it helps them to break that word down. Because even though we're writing stories, we want them to be literate persons. So we want to help them along their reading process. And their decoding skill, we want to help build on that too. So yes, do a little thing at the back. Another tip is don't add too much information in a children's book. Let the information be not sparse, but just enough. Don't make it too much. Don't clog it with too much of information. All right. And just let the story, as I said, be free spirited and just free flowing. Choose nice characters. And I don't want to sound as if I am racial, or I'm prejudiced. But when I was growing up, all my storybooks never had anybody that represents me. Never had anybody that looks anyway like me. Didn't have my skin color, didn't have my patois, didn't have my language at all. Now, I'm not saying you're to write a patois book, but ensure that as Caribbean authors, if you're Caribbean, ensure we have a good mix. Ensure we have a good mix so our children, not seeing things in isolation, they can relate to. Oh, this boy look like me. And this boy had some challenges and he got over. So I can get over too. So everything, and they have a way to say a picture says 1,000 words. It does. Sometimes they can't read a word, but they read the pictures. And they can tell you the story based on the pictures. All right?
Definitely. My mother used to tell me that when I was a child, what I used to do was ask, I guess people used to read the book to me, and I learned the book so well that I was going to other persons and so-called reading the book. I wasn't reading anything. I knew the pictures and remember what I was told, and I was there
Yes.
that I was there reading. So definitely they're knowing the story by the pictures as well.
And other picture reading is the first literacy reading for students, for children in pre-K.
Definitely.
So you do picture reading and you talk about the picture, you develop that little comprehension skills, and they read the picture before you go to book with printed text. So yes.
All right, so we have a question here. Remember you mentioned that you have an editor and such, so somebody was curious about where do you get these people from?
Oh, my editor lives in Jamaica. She's lovely. Her name is Marsha Malcolm. I don't have her number on hand, but I can give you in a few. And my illustrator, as I said, the illustrator for I Am Small for this book, he lives in Jamaica too. However, he is very busy. Very, very busy because he works for the government where he does their illustration and things. So he never have time for small me anymore. But he's such a nice person. But
But
yes,
remember, Greta, that they have your contact information. So remember, if there
right.
is any information that you need, any advice, just to talk to Greta and ask her any more questions about this process. Find out more about her books. Buy her books for your children or as gifts for your nieces and nephews and your friends'
Grants.
children and your
Yeah.
grands and all these things. You remember the contact information is here on the screen. So you can get it at, tell them the email address, Greta.
Author G. Malcolm at yahoo.com
Yes.
or 1-345-321-6919.
Thank you. And I thank you so much, Greta, for sharing all of this information because there are things there that I had no idea that that was the entire process. I always tell people we can't know everything. That's why it's good when persons who are knowledgeable about a particular topic share with us. So if there's anyone who is watching this either live right now or on a replay, if you are interested in sharing your knowledge with others, showcasing anything that you're doing, if you have any thing upcoming or such, you can come on and I will interview you. You share your information, share with us what you're doing, provide value for all our users, and it's beneficial for all. So remember, you can always
Yeah.
email me at atitwithava@gmail.com. Anyone who is interested in being interviewed. So any more questions for Greta? If you don't have any more questions now, as I said, remember you can hit her up, email her, phone her, call her, and you can get more information about what she's doing. Remember, all of these books also are available on Amazon. So if you have someone living abroad, you can purchase it and have it shipped to them. There's so many different avenues that are available to you.
Or you can contact me myself because I have an outlet in Jamaica that distributes the book as well. So if you're in Jamaica and if you're elsewhere, just give me a call and I'll get the books to you.
Thank
Or
you.
send me an email.